All right, Julio. Sorry for just getting to this your swing. Before I start, you asked me to talk about deep practice a little bit and how to go about training. Your swing is pretty good, so you have to consciously make a decision. Do I really spend a lot of time training in reprogramming my body how to move, or do I look at other avenues of improvement, scoring, short game, course management, mental game, all the other stuff. I've never seen you hit a ball, which obviously would help if I could see you hit. I don't know your speed numbers. Maybe you can share those. For me, I wanted a swing that resembled the legends and resembled Jamie Sedlowski, who is my model. We don't try to copy Jamie. We do imitate and emulate his movements, but you have your own thumbprint, let's say. So when it comes to training, when it comes to deep practice is just concentrated reps, really. You're in the moment, very precise sequencing. I like to use a speed ball. John Novosel from Tour Tempo has a device called a speed ball. It's a Velcro training aid that you hit. It's not a golf ball, but there is a target that you can hit. There's also another device called a swing groover, which I can send you links to this stuff that you can get. But that's what deep practice is. It's doing the reps in a precise nature in 30 minutes of concentrating, intense, focused training. That you get way better results doing that type of training than standing on a driving range for 6 hours hitting golf balls. The other thing, I'll talk about briefly here is that, anytime you learn something new, it almost always happens slowly from a movement standpoint, which is why I use slow motion training. And why is that, Julio? The reason is because it gives you time to think. When you're out there hitting a driver all out 100%, you're not consciously thinking about swing mechanics. When we are practicing these reps at super slow speeds, it allows us to use the front part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, actually, to think through, these steps and to watch ourselves in front of a mirror, imaging the correct sequence over and over again. That's how we learn, not just in golf. That's how we learn any new task, whether that be martial arts, learning a baseball swing, learning, pretty much anything in track and field. I can name lots of stuff. That's how we learn to play music, guitar, violin. I have a violin player that learned this exact way. It's called the Suzuki, I think, method. So, anyhow, enough on that. Your swing, let's start here. I'm going to pick it apart a little bit, which is, why you're having this analysis. But, I don't want you to think that I'm being too hard on you. I think you have some great moves. And so, the face-on, there's a few things here that I would like to see, especially if you want to get a little bit more clubhead speed. I'm not sure what it is, but I think you can get a little more. So looking at yourself here, face-on, and Jamie, face-on, I got a circle around his head and a circle around yours. And, you have the book, so you can monitor all these steps, with the P1 through P5. So on your backswing here, I'd like to see you have a little bit more up move and move a little bit more into your left side. I mean, you just kind of rotate. You have the left hip moving back in internal rotation, and the head pretty much stays still, right? It might have moved up a little, but you'll see Jamie, have a good trigger move, kick in with his trail leg, and as he's kicking in, watch this back leg, his left leg, kick in, and as that's happening, look at the head move up and to the right, along with the left side moving off the ball. So when he gets to P1, which is about right here, and you get to P1, look at the difference there. I mean, you've gone ahead and started rotating with your left hip into IR, and Jamie's moved away from the ball and up. So there's only two power sources that we have access to create energy in the golf swing, and one is a constant, which is gravity. So if you don't have a little bit of an up move or move off the ball, you're not going to be really able to drop down and utilize gravity. I think it was Jorgensen in his book, Physics of Golf, said that gravity accounted for like 16%, I believe, of speed, which is quite a bit. The other source that we have are muscles. So, we want to recruit as many muscles as possible and use gravity and use those muscles in the most effective and efficient sequence. So, again, up move, we need to add that in there to the top of your swing now. It's pretty good. I'd still like to see you maybe let this right leg rotate more inwardly, a little more internal rotation. You could get, a little bit possibly more hip rotation by allowing the right heel to come up off the ground. Your trail leg here is really good extension here in the trail leg. It's upright. There's a lot of good elements, to your swing. Now on to transition, or P3. You possibly move with the driver a little bit too far ahead of the ball here. When you get to about here, which is P3, look at Jamie drop down. The circle was the original position of his head. He's back right on that. Although lower, because he dropped, he used right pelvic tilt, anterior pelvic tilt, flexion of the legs, which drops you down, which you have a little bit of that. I'm going to talk a little, you go a little bit into left pelvic tilt, Julio, it's the right pelvic tilt, but it's not too bad right here in transition, other than slightly moving ahead of it. Now on to impact. The other thing you could get, it's not too bad. Let me back up a little bit. Let's go like P3 right here, a little bit down, P3.5. I'd like to see possibly a little bit more angle retention as well. It looks to me like you're throwing out the lag just a little too early. It's not too bad though, but right in here, we don't have to go extreme like this with Jamie, but you could possibly work on in front of a mirror with a little bit more wrist extension and radial deviation to get a little bit more angle in there. On to impact. It's pretty good here in impact even. You're not a flipper. You have a pretty good release with the driver here. The only thing I will say is when you land farther in front of the ball like this, it's almost getting your right hip up on top of your right foot. So you can see, look at the if I draw a circle kind of around Jamie's right hip there, look at how much more inside the foot he is right there, right? So you're more up on it right here. And so when you go to extend the lead hip, you're actually almost still up on it. You didn't really push backwards into the axis of rotation that we teach, which is more like, whoops, let me do a line here. More like this, right? You're a little bit too much up on it, which could lower your ball flight a little too much with the driver. I'd like to see you land here and then go back to the left foot, and hit more on this axis with the driver that we see Jamie unweighting the right foot and putting a little bit more pressure in your trail ball of the foot. I mean, these long drive guys dig holes under their back foot, not the front foot. So just a few things there with your swing. I mean, that's, everything else is pretty good. One thing I was going to talk about, let's go back to your iron swing, and I'm going to use another model. This is Victor here on the right. But I want to show you when you get into P3, when you get to about right here, Julio, I'm going to take Victor to the same position. What I was seeing here earlier, and this is kind of subtle, but it's like your trunk is tilted a little bit like this, and then the lower body is like this, right? With the right pelvic a little bit higher than the left, so you're something like that. So when we look at Victor here, you'll see how the alignment with his upper body and lower body is almost like stacked on top of each other. And then the shoulders, we have what? a little right pelvic tilt as well. With I have him flipped obviously as a lefty, but you'll see the shoulders tilted like this, right? And so it's a little different position here. I'd like to see work on getting your trunk more on top of the lower half at P3. It looks like that's increasing the slide just a little, hence the amount of body I see in front of your arms right here. Okay, man, here we go again, the V1 cutout. See if we can wrap this up. So we were talking about a little bit of a slide, getting the upper half and lower half on the aligned a little better so that you can rotate. When you extend the lead hip, you can rotate a little bit more and not have the arms as far behind. You can see how, when Victor gets the impact, you don't see any body in front of his arms, and then you see quite a bit of body there in front of your arms, and then your trail elbow is a little bit behind your left hip. I'd like to see the arms a little bit more in front of the body and just a little bit more rotation. You got just a little bit of roll in there too, but it's not bad. You see that trail hand kind of getting on top of the grip, but all in all, it's pretty good. I mean, you can see it's a little different camera angle, but you'll see the same thing with Bubba. He's aligned there at P3, and then the arms way more in front with the trail elbow either on the hip or in front. The other thing from down the line, and then we'll wrap this up. Let me bring up your down the line here. So here we go. We'll zoom in a bit. I just noticed you sometimes going inside like this and having your bottom hand, your left hand, supinate a little bit too much. And this one's that actually was a little bit better. This one you roll it open a little bit too much. So this plane of the shaft this far inside, I'm not crazy about that. I think that if you can get it moving a little bit more up and staying closed and keeping that left hand in a little bit more pronated state. We have Bubba here as the extreme. What's Bubba here? Okay, that would be the extreme version of that move. Jack Nicklaus did this a little bit as well. And I'm not saying you have to go super crazy here with this, but a little bit more up. You actually go inside like this and then up and come slightly over it, which I like. I mean, Sam Snead did that a little bit. But I think you could just go a little more upright with it with the face shut. You're on perfect plane here, dude. It's really good action here down the line. I didn't see a whole lot wrong with it other than P1 a little bit too far inside, a little less supination with the left hand. Maybe keep it on top of the shaft, feel like you're pronated, and picture Bubba. So several things to work on. Namely the up move, a little bit move off the ball with your back hip, right? Move down into P3, retain a little bit more angle. And then try to get the lower half and the upper half kind of aligned a little bit better. Keep the right hip inside the right ankle so that when you go and push and extend using your right glute, your hips will rotate instead of just jump. So there's a little bit of slide in there, which results in the arms being a little bit, behind the body. But overall, pretty darn good. Again, read the talent code. I can send you the information on some other stuff that you can look at, learning some training methodologies. I would get the John Novoseli's speedball to have something to practice indoors this winter. Get some mirrors. Go through the steps. I mean, that's how I did it. P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, and then I would slow it down. I mean, you cannot do this slow enough. You can even, I have guys doing swings that last 30 seconds to 1 minute. That slow, that you're watching yourself go through every movement, one continuous, put a ball down, and even go to impact, video the 1 minute swings and make sure that everything is exactly the way you want it. Maybe the next lesson we do a sequence lesson where you send me a video doing some slower reps, and I can go from there and tell you what you need to work on with the slow speed stuff. So hopefully this helps, man. Keep me posted. Maybe for a trip to Arkansas sometime, and maybe when it warms up a little. So, all right, bud. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon. Take care.